call to order this meeting of Susquehanna Township Board of Commissioners. I'd like to note that all commissioners are present with the exception of Commissioner Rabarchak and Commissioner Engel, both of whom are excused. I would note that the board did meet in executive session to discuss matters of real estate and personnel. We'll begin the meeting with a pledge of allegiance followed by a moment of silence, and I would ask that Commissioner Johnson lead the pledge of allegiance tonight.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome, everybody. Looks like we have some guests tonight in uniform.
Oh, nice.
This is the point in our agenda where members of the public are invited to come and address the Board of the Commissioners if they're so inclined to do so. Do we have anybody who would like to speak at this point? Yes, ma'am? Yeah, please come up and state your name and address and try to limit your comments to 3 minutes, please.
Hi, my name is Betty Crawshaw. I live at 1801 Fox Hunt Lane. My husband and I moved here about a year ago. And what I just want to make sure that this is on record. This has to do with the project going on at North Galen Road, the Millers. There's a pipe that runs underneath their house that has collapsed. HRG has been working on a proposal. My property is below theirs. My property has already had damage from all this water that's been coming down. So I did want to make sure that consideration was taken as far as that goes. I have two 30-inch pipes of stormwater that empty onto my property. It empties into an area that's 8 to 10 feet from my basement foundation wall. This past year, of course, we've had lots of rain. So, you know, when the advertisement, we bought this house, it was listed as a nice, gentle mountain runoff. And after a few storms, it sounds like a train outside my bathroom window. I mean, it's forceful. It's whitewater rapids. You could get on a float and you could probably go about 50 miles an hour down this thing when it comes. Anyway, I have been in contact with HRG and I did discuss, you know, my concerns. I have erosion of the base causing pooling water areas. I have cracked footers where my deck is because it runs right along there. Stones and boulders have moved all the way down the property and have caused like a dam. So when HRG came out, it was February 7th. I was invited to go along with a walk around and the plans and was anticipating that structurally my property would also be included since I'm kind of the dumping zone for both of these 30-inch pipes. And there was really nothing that was going to be done with my property. So I just wanted to make sure I had it on record and that consideration would be taken for my property because I certainly don't want further erosion. I certainly don't want water going into my foundation in my basement. Is there any questions?
Mr. Grubik, do you have her information?
Yes, we do.
I have some photos
Yes.
for you. And
Okay.
if you want to see a
We
video,
do, and as
that too.
stated, we were out and did have a
Bob, I can't hear you.
site inspection and visitation of the property, and there is a problem. It would just be a matter of analyzing just how far the solution needs to be taken.
Yeah, HRG did, you know, they were going to try to control the water flow, but I was told by the previous owner that the water flow isn't even what it normally is because it's dissipated under the ground because that pipe has collapsed. So I have a fear that it's even going to be more than anticipated, and it's coming all down to my property.
Understood.
Thank
We
you.
have that under advisement. We'll keep the board apprised.
Okay, thank you so
And he
much.
speaks with
Thank you.
authority because of HRG. He's G.
Oh,
Yeah.
very good.
He's the OG.
The last
in
guy.
fact.
The OG.
Young G.
Nobody got it. I don't think I should.
As compared to the OG.
We're too middle-aged for that.
And ma'am, just for the record, I'm happy to engage with you as well. I'm the commissioner for that ward, so I'll be happy to continue the conversation with you and see if we can help to mitigate any issues that you're having. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to address the board tonight?
Commissioner Lynch, I do have school board comments that I can share, but
Absolutely.
if it's acceptable, I'll share them during that report period if the commissioners would like, or I can share them now, either way.
What do you want to do?
I was going to defer to him anyway when we got to that part.
Okay, it's up to you.
I'm glad to wait and do it at that point.
Okay, thanks, John.
Thanks, Mr. President.
Anybody else? Hi, guys, I see you're in uniform. You here getting a merit badge tonight? What troop you with?
77.
77. Is that Tree of Life?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, good. I hope we have an exciting meeting for you.
You're on TV now.
Yeah. Say hi. Well, thanks for coming. Okay.
Pros Pro.
Approval of minutes, February 14th, regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And February 28th, workshop.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and second. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Reports of committees, buildings and grounds. Commissioner Rothrock?
I have no report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Budget and Finance, Commissioner Sanderson.
Yes, thank you. In previous weeks, previous meetings, we've discussed part of the budget and the projects that we're anticipating. And we are currently paying money toward a loan that we took out some years ago. And we have an opportunity to restructure it and prepare for upcoming infrastructure projects. And that's why we're here tonight, to talk about money that could, with the board's approval, could advance the township's infrastructure interests at an ongoing low interest rate. And I defer to Mr. Kratzer to fill us in.
Yeah, sure. We have Chris Gibbons from Concord Public Finance here. Chris and I have been, and Jill have had an opportunity to work together over the last couple months. It is months now. It started a while ago. The conversation really started around a discussion concerning the Dauphin County Infrastructure Bank and the availability of low-cost financing for purposes of some of the projects that the board has talked about, particularly the Paxton Church Road stabilization and safety project that the board was briefed on back in the, I think it was in the summer months. So later on in your agenda, there is a resolution seeking authorization to submit a Dauphin County Infrastructure Bank loan for purposes of the Paxton Church project. However, as part of those conversations, we've been looking at our existing debt structure and seeing if there's an opportunity to not only receive new money for purposes of advancing this project, but also offsetting our existing debt service within our budget, at least in the short term. So Chris is going to come up, and I think he has some analysis that he's going to share with you so that we can kind of talk through this issue. If you want me to hand that on. Yeah, sure.
Agora. Yeah. Scrooge McDuck.
Thank you.
Excuse me.
Well, good evening. Nice to see you again. It's been a little while since we've been here, but actually, as David mentioned, he and I have been working on some various financing alternatives for several months now. The whole idea started when Dave had mentioned that the township is considering borrowing money from the Dauphin County Infrastructure Bank. At the same time, Dave was thinking that the township might want to restructure some of their Dauphin County Infrastructure Bank debt they have outstanding right now. At which point I said, well, maybe it's more cost effective to actually restructure some of the other existing debt of the township rather than that, because that loan is outstanding at literally at 0.5%. So it's a good deal for the township. So it made sense to actually look at refinancing and restructuring other possible debt. So what I handed out to you is several things. First of all, kind of a recap of your existing debt service and the debt related to that. The current debt outstanding is approximately $39.5 million. The sewer system supports about 31.1 of that, which means that the township and its general fund supports about $8.3 million. It's also important to note that the remaining borrowing capacity for the township at this point, legal borrowing capacity under the Local Government Unit Debt Act, is approximately $31.6 million. So with that as the background, I think it's important then to look at, I hate to do this to people, but a couple dense pages of numbers here. The first page is marked on the bottom right-hand corner, page 2, is your current outstanding debt service. And kind of working left to right, you can see all the various series of debt that the township has undertaken. With the column to the far right in the blue box, column 9, is the amount of net debt that's supported by the general fund. As you can see right now, it's approximately $1.49 million through 2022. Then it drops off and is eliminated by 2025. It is also important to note the calculations of the remaining borrowing capacity on the bottom blue box, but just put that as more as a reference. So the idea was, okay, can we do something to reduce the annual debt service payments of the township as in a most cost-effective manner as possible, which is what is represented on page 3. Page 3 is a opportunity to restructure about $500,000 of the remaining general obligation bond series of 2012 that actually are currently refinanceable or callable, and have that debt essentially extend out for 4 more years than what it currently exists, which ultimately produces the box in the blue box, column 20. You might recall the previous page, as seen on column 21, was $1.48 million. This restructuring idea would bring the current debt service down to about $1.1 million, so roughly about $300,000 a year cash flow relief for the township for the next 4 years, followed by those payments continue for another 4 years after that. So it's an opportunity for the township to accomplish 2 goals. One is to finance $1.6 million of projects for the, what's it called, the church?
Paxton Church Road.
Paxton Church Road Stormwater Project, and also to restructure the debt, existing debt of the township, and extend that debt for 4 years at this point, and reduce the total payments in all by about $300,000.
Per year. Per year.
I'm sorry, $300,000 per year for 4 years. That's correct. I apologize.
So essentially what we're doing is taking what's outstanding from the series 2012 and combining that with the funding that we're using to borrow to do the Paxton Church Road project. And
Yeah.
then our gain is that 0.5%, right? Not the gain. I'm saying what we can do is bring our existing debt service
Essentially,
financed
you're
at
preserving that
0.5%,
0.5%.
right? Yeah.
By not refinancing that, you're preserving and maximizing your use of that 0.5%.
Right. So that's the incentive for doing this
Yes,
is getting that
Yeah.
at a 0.5% rate, which is impossible to get anywhere.
Excuse me, leaving what you have outstanding right now at the outstanding 0.5% rate, not changing that at
So
all.
really,
So the
really,
new money's not.
yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry. Really, the initial analysis was because this would contemplate, and again, we're not seeking authorization as it relates to the second transaction, but what's outlined here would involve 2 debt issuance transactions. So the question was, is it more efficient from an economical perspective to incur the additional cost associated with a second transaction versus doing a single transaction
Right.
through DCIB,
Okay.
in which there's one set of transactional
Got it.
cost. So that analysis, while you're not seeing that in front of you, showed that the double transaction with 2 sets of transactional cost is $300,000 more cost-effective or more economically efficient than going through a single transaction through DCIB. And that relates to Chris's point, the ability to retain the existing 0.5% rate on the DCIB debt, and really refinance higher interest rate debt through a second transaction.
Okay, excellent.
If that makes sense.
Yeah,
So instead of touching that 0.5, we might have, and Chris, you can correct me, but the 2002 debt may be at 2%, but it's
Right.
not at it's not
Right.
at 0.5%.
right.
So just like you would in your normal personal life, you would focus on your higher interest rate debt
Sure.
versus. So the flexibility is provided by, and it's also provided by how the existing township's debt was structured in terms of RAP, right?
Correct.
I mean, is that
Correct. Mhm.
So there was, at least as we're in the tail end, that debt was very compressed as well. So we were trying to balance, two potentially competing issues or goals. One would be the issue of the budgetary relief that's being provided through this transaction with not irresponsibly extending the term of debt, right?
Right.
Because those can be two competing things.
Right.
I mean, Chris could come up here and show you an example where you're extending term much more than 4 years, but ultimately that's going to cost you more money in the long term. And you could be showing $500,000 of annual savings in a short period of time. But at
Right.
the end of the day, so we're trying to balance those two competing interests. The potential of generating some immediate cash flow savings from a budgetary perspective with trying to not be irresponsible as it relates to the extension of term on the debt.
Got it.
If that makes sense.
Well, it sounds like a job well done then.
It's up to us to apply. It's up to the township to apply. Do you have any?
I'm sorry,
Do
up
you have
to
any further?
township to-
Do you have any further presentation?
No, I don't.
So, do we need to take a vote officially?
If you want to do that, I'll leave it to Mr.
There
President.
is
It's
a draft resolution in your packet. Right?
There's a resolution later on in the agenda, which would authorize the submission of a DCIB loan in what's anticipated to be the amount of $1.6 million for purposes of the Paxton Church Road Stabilization and Safety Project.
It's an official vote. We're going to need to consider it tonight.
Yeah.
It is coming up in the agenda, but I appreciate Chris coming and explain that so that we're not, when we get to that point in the agenda, we're not all caught cold.
Right.
It is an official application.
Right.
So we have to apply.
Yep.
So what would happen next if the board was to adopt this resolution authorizing the submission? Couple things. As it relates to DCIB, just like any other debt financing, you would come back with an ordinance authorizing the incurrence of debt. You would go through all the Laguda proceedings, all of that. So this will be back before you. All this resolution is doing is authorizing you to submit an application to DCIB for potential funding through DCIB.
Right. Okay.
And then there would be subsequent conversations concerning the restructuring aspect of the 2012. But we wanted to make sure you had a holistic picture as opposed to taking these incrementally.
Perfect. Thank you.
That's all I have.
Should have just did it.
Anything else, Mr. Sanderson?
Thank you, Chris. Appreciate the short notice and coming in.
Thanks, Chris. Okay, Public Works, Commissioner Napper?
Yes, Mr. President. The Public Works Department report, the Public Works performed limited light work, sign work this month by replacing a damage control signs throughout the township. Performed maintenance on the trucks and equipment and repaired grass lawns in the township right-of-way caused by the plows. And the sewer maintenance staff removed snow from the pumping stations and assisted the highway department with salting and plowing on the roadways, so we have a combined effort between the two. And as a reminder, the street sweeping schedule is posted on the township website. As a final note, Mr. President, the entire Public Works Department attended the PA One Call training. The conference provides a forum for Pennsylvania stakeholders such as designers, project owners, facility owners, locators, public officials, emergency responders, and excavation professionals to learn about safe digging. The presentation and demonstration on safe digging procedures were offered throughout the sessions. This ends my report, sir.
Very good. Thank you, Commissioner. Health and Sanitation, Mr. Sanderson.
Thank you. No report.
Administration and Personnel. Back
Nope.
at you, Commissioner.
No report, sir.
Thank you. Police. Commissioner Engel or Johnson,
No report. I don't.
you have anything, Chief? Okay. Fire and EMS, Commissioner Fleming.
No report, Mr. President.
Thank you. Recreation, Commissioner Johnson.
Do I have a report? I now don't see it here.
Yeah, I don't know if you want to share with the board some of the discussions that the RAC had, particularly concerning, or the one issue last evening, or whether you want to hold off on that at this point.
Yeah, I will share it at a later date, just because it's supposed to be a surprise.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
We'll figure out how we're
As I
gonna.
was saying that, I'm thinking that.
Yeah,
That's why I was
I know.
hesitating there, is that,
Yeah.
Got you guys' interest?
Can't wait for the next meeting.
A little bit.
We have to wait.
Come to the Recreation Board meeting.
All right.
I guess I could announce tomorrow's the last day for applications for the summer program. Tomorrow's what? Friday, March 15th. Yeah, for anyone's interested in working at the summer camp. Yeah, tomorrow's the last day.
The other thing of note, if I may add, Commissioner, is that registration for summer camp also starts tomorrow. So tomorrow is the first day of registration for the day camp program that we offer annually. So.
Since you got the mic, you could say information can be found on the website.
Sure. Information concerning the summer camp program can be found on the township website.
Thank you.
Good report, Commissioner.
That concludes my report.
All right, Planning and Zoning, Commissioner Rothrock.
Thank you, Mr. President. I have a very short report because the Planning Commission meeting of February 25th was canceled, as was the Zoning Hearing Board meeting of March 6th, both due to lack of an agenda. So the only thing I had to report is that Rhoda Barish has resigned as the alternate to the Planning Commission. So we have, I guess, an alternate position open there. We thank her for her service to the commission. That concludes my report. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, bids and agreements. Number one, Susquehanna Township Parks bathroom cleaning proposal. Finishing touch, Commissioner or Mr. Kratzer.
Sure, Mr. President. This is a supplement to the existing contract that we have with Finishing Touch. As was mentioned, this relates to the cleaning of the restrooms at 5 park facilities on 2 days a week, which are going to be Monday and Thursday, from the months of April through October. The cost is a cost of $150 per day. The estimated total cost for the season is $9,300. There's 62 days in which they would clean between the months of April and October. We are recommending authorization or consideration of the contract.
So moved.
Second. Moved and seconded. Questions?
I do.
Yes.
Who used to clean the bathrooms?
So previously, the bathrooms were being cleaned by some of the internal park and rec staff.
Internal park and rec staff?
Yes.
Okay.
Schulte.
Correct. Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And you say it's only going to be 2 days a week, so that means,
Yeah, they weren't being cleaned by more than 2 days a week previously. I can assure you that. So they were generally.
that
cleaned.
wasn't my question.
This is consistent with the schedule that's historically been the case.
Well, thanks for pointing that out, though, but that wasn't my question. I guess my question was, so are all the bathrooms going to be cleaned, like, let's just pick 2 days, Monday and Wednesday, or
Yeah.
veterans will be done Monday, Edgemont Tuesday, or they're just 2 days out of a week?
So the expectation is that they would do it on a Thursday in anticipation of use on the weekend, and then following the weekend on Monday, they would go back in and clean the restrooms, given the fact that the activity is primarily weekend-based activity. So, as I noted to you in my email, I think as we move forward, we may want to reevaluate, bidding this work out in its entirety. But at this point, we have an existing contract. This is a supplement to that existing contract.
Okay, because I missed the email.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions or comments? It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Number 2, gasoline storage tank removal proposal, Keystone Petroleum Equipment Ltd.
Yes, this is a proposal to remove the existing fueling facilities at the Township Municipal Office and the Township Public Works facilities. There, as you would have saw when you reviewed it, there are both a base bid proposal as well as some options. We have reviewed the proposals. We sought 3 quotes for this work. It was over the quotation threshold. Keystone's proposal was the low quote of the bunch. The total cost of the removal is $14,045. Again, as the board is aware, we've transitioned to a fuel card system versus on-site gasoline, and so this is part of the closeout of those facilities. There's a process involving the Pennsylvania Department of Environmental Protection. So the Keystone, if awarded the contract, would handle not only the physical removal of the tanks, but also the reporting to the department. So.
Is there any grant funding available potentially for this kind of activity?
I don't know, Commissioner, particularly. I can, we can look into that.
I mean, it seems like it would be, for
Some
the
sort of
public good.
incentive?
And I'm just asking, I don't know. A program doesn't come off the top of my head, but it seems like this is something that there may want to be an, public investment in.
I was going to ask, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but looks like your 2019 budget estimate of the cost of that is $20,000, so we're coming in well under.
That is correct. I mean, there will be some additional costs. There's cost. Our internal crews will remove the canopy, for example. They'll do paving work in terms of paving restoration work. But yes, the 2019 budget incorporated $20,000 for the cost of this work.
There was a grant program under USAC, the underground storage tank facility. That's been defunded by the General Assembly. It has been for the past 2 years.
Great news.
So that's zeroed out.
Super.
President, I was going to ask you, did you know? I thought you would know.
Yeah. I read about it. Okay. Any other comments or questions on the motion that was made? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right, amendment number 1, streetlight.
I don't know that there was actually a motion.
Oh, get out.
Yeah, sorry, I just jumped in
So
there.
moved.
I apologize.
I'd like to make a motion to approve.
Moved in second, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries.
Sorry. I kind of messed up the process there. My apologies, Mr. President.
Get in the corner. Streetlight Services Agreement, amendment number 1, PPL Utilities Corp. Dave?
Sure. This is an agreement with PPL, as was noted, to replace all remaining no-cost streetlights in the township from high-pressure sodium to LED. There are 380 streetlights that are subject to the agreement. So, again, as the board is aware, we've incrementally been making that transition from high-pressure sodium to LED. But again, as part of there's no direct cost associated with this to the township. This is done by PP&L as part of
I
their
move to approve.
obligations.
Moved and seconded. Any other woos?
No, I don't have any woos. I just didn't hear what he said because I was hearing woos.
It was tough to say it when you're hearing woos too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
okay. I
yeah,
thought it was
yeah.
just me.
Yeah,
No.
so-
I'm very excited.
Do we realize the savings from that, of the energy costs?
Yes, yeah, there's savings associated with that.
I mean, you
I mean,
go
it's not huge because the way the tariff is structured, even though it's using less energy, the tariff rate is higher on the LED versus the high pressure sodium. But again, we've talked about this I think before. What PPL does is when they install lights, they depreciate those lights over a 10-year period. So once the lights are older than 10 years, there is no direct cost for us to make this transition. So all of the lights within our streetlight network that have no direct cost to us for replacement will now be replaced by virtue of both the previous agreements you had authorized But now this kind of finishes out what we have, so.
10 years in the making.
Outstanding.
Exciting time.
Got to vote.
Okay. We need to vote on that, right? Or did we?
Commissioner Sanderson made first, and Commissioner Hines second.
Was there a vote?
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Vehicle for sale.
So moved.
Well, okay, this is a 2008 Ford F-350 pickup truck, and Mr. Kratzer and staff are looking for authorization to advertise it for bid.
Yeah, there's actually, just to
There's
clarify,
two.
there was a second vehicle. It's also a 2013 Ford Taurus as well, Mr. President.
I make a motion to authorize the sale for both vehicles.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any comments?
And
All in
you're-
favor? Go ahead.
I'm sorry, you're selling these, if I saw the notes correctly, well above the Blue Book.
Well, these two are just for authorization to make them available for
Oh,
sale.
okay. No, I'm ahead of myself,
Are
I'm
they,
sorry.
they're going to be posted on Municipid?
They would be posted via municipal, yes. Yep.
Thank you.
So we're just seeking authorization to advertise the availability of.
Which typically, like, as we've gotten these notices, typically they do come in above market
Correct,
value.
correct.
So that's.
I mean, the next item, which is authorization to sell, you'll see we got
Yeah.
over market value. So.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And that's it on the bids and agreements, Mr. Kratzer?
Number 5, there's an authorization to sell, number 5.
Number 5.
5.
Yeah, right.
So on this one, we're seeking authorization to accept the high bid. We received a bid of $3,500. The vehicle was advertised for sale via Municipid per the previous authorization that you had granted. The estimated value of the vehicle from a Kelly Blue Book perspective was $2,000 to $2,500. So
That's the one I was thinking.
that is above market value.
I want you to start selling my used cars.
All right, is there a motion?
I make a motion, so moved.
Second?
Moved and seconded. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, ordinances, resolutions. Resolution 19R02, authorizing the filing of an application for a Dauphin County Infrastructure Bank Loan request of $1.5 million to be used for Paxton Church Road Rehab Project. This was discussed in part during the presentation by Mr. Kratzer and Mr. Gibbons. We have a motion on this resolution that was drafted.
Motion to file.
Is there a second?
Second?
Moved and seconded. Does anybody have any questions or wish to comment?
I do have just a quick question. So this amount of money, is it only for the Paxton Church Road Safety? Or did I misunderstand something?
Right.
It's only for this? Okay.
Right. We had 3 projects come up within
Yeah.
15 minutes,
Yeah.
3 months ago.
Oh, yeah, I
Came to a
see it.
total of $1.5 million. Yes, you were.
And am I correct in my understanding that the interest rate is somewhere in the range of 1%?
That is correct.
The
So-
net interest rate after
Right.
adjustment?
That is correct. So this would be, what we're looking at is a 10-year Pennsylvania Infrastructure Bank loan that's issued through the DCIB program. The rate for a PIB loan currently is 2.75%. The county subsidizes that rate by 1.75 to equal the 1% net effective borrowing rate that the commissioner just referenced. Yes.
Thank you.
Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
And opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to, are we unfinished business?
Yes.
Do we have any?
We do not, Mr. President.
All right. Mr. Kratzer, do you have any reports?
I have nothing further, Mr. President.
Chief, do you have anything? Mr. Grubik?
Our report is in your packet. I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Miller, our solicitor.
Yeah, the Law Bureau has
is asking for authorization to schedule and advertise a public hearing on several amendments to the zoning ordinance. The hearing that we're proposing to give notice for is 6:30 on April 11th at the Municipal Building in front of the Board of Commissioners. These are the amendments we have previously talked about at the Planning Commission and we've talked about in front of the Board of Commissioners, dealing with 8 or 9 sections of the code that we are tweaking, including the definition of alteration of nonconformities. And so I would ask authorization from the board to do that advertisement.
So moved.
Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor? Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we need and oppose. Now we need to set a date.
That was in it, wasn't it?
It was in it.
And what time is it?
April 11th at 6:30.
6:30?
Yes.
Okay.
So it will precede our regular meeting in April.
Precisely.
That is correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
And other than that, I yield back my time.
All bureau is done. Good. All right, school board, Mr. Dietrich and Mr. Fleming.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. I'll defer to School Board President John Dietrich. Thank you for being here this evening.
I will turn into, I'm going to let you when I'm done here. but I can put those in the minutes.
3 minutes, Mr. President.
I will try to keep it close. So first, I'd like to actually thank Mr. Kratzer and Ms. Logan for meeting with the school district administration. Basically, as we know, that communication between our boards is excellent, and I think you were planning to do that on a regular basis, and I encourage that. I think that's great. So thank you for doing that. Our last school board meeting was on two Mondays ago, on 3/4. At that time, the Dauphin County Technical School actually gave us a presentation, just reminding us they come usually once a year, reminding us of the wonderful programs that they have out there at the VOTech School, and they don't like me calling it the VOTech School, so.
Korean Technical
Career
Center.
Technical Center.
Yes.
Thank you. So that was really good. New out there at the DCTS, they're doing a welding programs, I think, new for 2019-20. We'll start that up. We are providing the teacher and the staff. I think there'll be a teacher and a para teacher there, but it's actually being hosted at HAC, using their facilities, at least for the first few years, seeing how it goes, and then maybe sometime down the road, they'll invest in equipment out at DCTS, but obviously there's some pretty good cost for all the welding equipment. So we're going to partner with HAC and make that happen for the upcoming year. We do have to we're going to lease a 48-passenger, I think it's a 48-passenger bus, to help with many things, but one being to transport, of course, the students down to the welding program. We had, I think as some of you know, we had a pretty full house at the last school board meeting. We were talking about the School of the Arts. Actually titled it in there as the Art Pathways, which was something that I learned. I didn't know what the administration was bringing, but essentially what it looks like, and I have some notes on here, but essentially what it looks like is they're looking to do pathways. They'll start with the School of the Arts in an effort to open it up, make it more available to more students, increase the access there. But then also, I think down the road we'll start to have other pathways as well. So if you're interested, basically strands or concentration, so to speak, the minors like you might have had in the universities. So if you're interested in medical, maybe there'll be some medical type courses to just give you a flavor of that. Or if you're interested, of course, in the School of the Arts and fashion, those programs will still be largely the way they are, to give you that concentration in those classes going forward. Engineering courses, I'm sure, will be the same way, so you might take some, engineering type courses to, as your electives to kind of get you down a path. So that actually sounded really wonderful to me. I think that sounds like I commend the administration for that, and I think that seems like a really logical and good way to go. We did approve the farm show for our June 7th, 2019 high school commencement.
Thank you.
It's not on the second Thursday this year.
Wesley, it's Friday, I believe, right?
That's awesome. Sorry.
No, that's okay. I think we have some challenges the following year. I think the farm show is perhaps has a conflict. I think they found a larger
More lucrative.
deal to host something for the week. So I'm not sure what we're going to do there.
I want to interrupt you for 1 second. Is that on the school calendar yet?
Yes, it should.
We were looking for it the other day, and it wasn't there, so,
Okay.
but thank you for
Should
just
be.
giving me the date.
I feel like it was on the front page as well, so it should be, but
Okay.
I'll drop these and it'll be in your minutes as well, hopefully.
Thanks.
And we also approved an agreement between PFM Public Financial Management and the district for a financial modeling platform called White Birch that's we're going to utilize for our long-term fiscal planning and forecasting. And Mr. Presser probably knows about this. And keep your ears in. If it works for us, it might be something that you guys would be. I don't know. That's great. So I'm sure you've had the conversation with Mr. Anderson, so we'll see how that goes. Our musical this year is Hello Dolly. I have the dates and times on here. They're also on the website, but that's, of course, this weekend. Well, we actually had a showing on Wednesday night for senior citizens. So Friday at 7:30 will be the first one, then Saturday, Sunday. Tickets are $10. This information is right on the front page of the website for anybody looking for that. Alumni breakfast, or alumni spring breakfast is this coming Saturday at 9:30 in the high school cafeteria. More information on everything I've talked about, of course, can be found on the website or on board docs, which links from the website, as everybody knows. And our next school board meeting is this coming Monday at 7 o'clock. Any questions for any?
Mr. President,
For me?
just a quick note. Really appreciate your program on welding. And I think if students find out with the Marcellus Shale areas especially, what welders are paid, that bus, you might need a bigger bus.
Absolutely.
I think they definitely try to keep aware of what's out there, what's trending, and what we need to set up. They started I think the dental back maybe 4 or 5 years ago, so they did a dental assistant type program set up. So, but thank you.
Good.
And for our young viewers this evening, so I'm on the school board, if you may have figured out. So we try to communicate with each other in an effort to work together. Our township shares the same our school district shares the same geographical boundary as the township, which is somewhat unusual, fairly unusual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not
So,
typical.
but it provides for good working relationship since we share exactly the same constituents. Thank you.
The question is, can you get 2 merit badges for one meeting? That's, I'm just saying.
If we have a joint meeting, that would be a good thing. That would be.
Thanks, John.
Thank you.
For the cycle.
Anything else, Mr. Fleming?
That concludes my report.
Understood. Thank you. Okay, where are we? Authorities, Commissioner Sanderson.
No report, thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Barcheck is not here for Indian Wheels or Shade Tree. Do we have an update?
No report.
Okay. Communications, Commissioner Pine?
No report, Mr. President.
Very good. And getting down to new business, boards and commission appointments, still looking for somebody in Ward 4. How about you?
And
Same deal?
I put out another message this week, so
Okay.
hopefully we'll have someone
All right.
latch
And
on.
we're also looking for anybody out there watching, and we are looking for a volunteer service appointment to the Human Relations Commission, to our Shade Tree Commission, and also as an alternate member of our Planning Commission. So please help us beat the bushes and try to find some people that are willing to serve their community on these important posts. All right, now's the time for commissioner comments. Anybody wish to comment?
I'd just like to thank HRG for completing the preliminary plans, or I guess, final plans for the Boyd Park, which is to be developed, Continental Drive, progress.
Welcome,
Looking
Commissioner.
forward to getting that underway.
Ready to go as soon as.
I'm not sure Nate's looking forward to getting
As soon
it
as
underway.
Nate's crew's ready to go.
But I am. Thank you.
All right. Approval of bills paid.
Mr. President, I move to adopt the report of bills paid in the amount of $1,012,009.75.
Light month.
Second.
Okay, moved in second. Any comments? All in favor?
Aye. Motion to adjourn.
Motion carries.
Second.
Move the second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Aye, aye.
We are out of here.